Welcome to Session 2 of the DUI curriculum. In Session 1, the focus was orientation, accountability, the purpose of the program, and the beginning to look honestly at the choices that led to this referral or requirement. Today, we are going deeper into the actual impact of alcohol and drugs on driving. The title of this session is The Impact of Alcohol and Drugs on Driving. The goal is simple. By the end of this session, you should have a clear understanding of how substances affect judgment, reaction time, coordination, attention, decision-making, and risk. Driving is not just steering a car. Driving is a complicated task that requires your brain and body to work together every second. A person may feel awake, relaxed, confident, or even normal while still being impaired in ways they cannot accurately notice in the moment. That is one of the most important points for today. Impairment is not always obvious to the impaired person. This session is not about labeling you as a bad person. It is about helping you understand risk accurately. Many people who get a DUI did not wake up planning to put themselves or others in danger. Often, the problem is a chain of smaller decisions. Drinking more than planned, assuming enough time has passed, mixing substances, being tired, not arranging a ride, or trusting the feeling of being okay. As we go through this session, you will be asked to pause and complete parts of your worksheet. Take the worksheet seriously. The more honest you are, the more useful this class will be. You do not have to write perfect answers. You just need to write real answers. Ground rule: feeling fine is not the same as driving safe. Before we talk about specific substances, I want to introduce a phase we will use throughout today. Feeling fine is not the same as driving safe. A person can say, "I only had a few." A person can say, "I drive better after I relax." A person can say, "I know my limit." A person can say, "I have driven like this before and nothing happened." Those statements may feel convincing in the moment, but none of those statements measure reaction time, attention, lane control, judgment, vision, or the ability to respond to an emergency. Safe driving requires the ability to notice danger quickly, understand what is happening, choose the safest response, and physically perform that response. Alcohol and drugs can interfere with every part of that process. This is why DUI education focuses on prevention before you get behind the wheel. Once you are already impaired, your ability to evaluate whether you are impaired is also impaired. This means the safest decision must be made earlier, while your judgment is clearer. We're at a pause point. Pause the video now and complete worksheet section 1, feeling fine versus driving safe. Write down what you used to rely on to decide whether you're okay to drive. Did you rely on how you felt? How much time passed? Whether you ate? Whether friends said you looked okay? Or whether you had driven before without getting caught? Part 1. What driving requires from the brain and body. To understand impairment, we first have to understand what driving requires. Driving may feel automatic because many people have done it for years, but even a familiar drive requires several skills happening at the same time. You are scanning mirrors, watching speed, reading signs, noticing brake lights, tracking pedestrians, judging distance, keeping lane position, regulating emotions, ignoring distractions, adjusting to weather, predicting what other drivers may do, and making quick choices. Driving requires attention. Attention means you can focus on the road and shift your focus when something changes. Driving requires perception. Perception means you can accurately understand what you see and hear. Driving requires reaction time. Reaction time means how quickly you respond when something unexpected happens. Driving requires coordination. Coordination means your hands, feet, eyes, and brain work together smoothly. Driving requires judgment. Judgment means choosing the safest option, not the option that feels easiest. When alcohol or drugs enter the picture, these systems can become lower, less accurate, or less coordinated. You may not notice the change because the same substance that affects driving also affects self-awareness. A useful way to think about it is this: impairment does not need to make you completely out of control to be dangerous. It only needs to reduce your safety margin. If a child runs into the street, if a car brakes suddenly, if an animal crosses the road, if a light turns yellow, or if someone swerves into your lane, a small delay can become the difference between a near miss and a serious crash. Part 2. Alcohol and the body. Alcohol is a central nervous system depressant. That means it slows down the brain and body functioning. Even when alcohol makes someone feel more social, more talkative, or more confident, it is still slowing important functions needed for safe driving. Alcohol can affect judgment early. A person may become more likely to take risks, underestimate danger, overestimate their abilities, or dismiss concerns from other people. This matters because driving safety depends on good decisions before and during the drive. Alcohol can affect vision. It can make it harder to track moving objects, judge distance, respond to lights, and notice details in the environment. Driving requires constant visual scanning. If scanning slows down or becomes less accurate, risk increases. Alcohol can affect coordination. Steering, braking, accelerating, and staying centered in a lane require fine motor control. A driver does not have to be stumbling to have impaired coordination. Small changes can show up as drifting, delayed braking, overcorrecting, wide turns, or inconsistent speed. Alcohol can affect reaction time. Reaction time is not just how fast you hit the brakes. It includes noticing the problem, understanding the problem, deciding what to do, and then moving your body. Alcohol can slow that entire chain. Alcohol can affect attention and memory. A driver may miss signs, forget the route, lose track of speed, or fail to notice a hazard until it's too late. A person may remember feeling confident, but not remember the specific unsafe moments that happened while driving. The legal limit is important, but safety is not about the legal limit. Alcohol can affect driving ability, even before a person reaches the legal limit. The safest plan is not how close can I get and still drive. The safest plan is, if I am drinking, I am not driving. We're at a pause point. Pause the video and complete worksheet section 2, Alcohol and Driving Skills. For each driving skill listed, write how alcohol could interfere with that skill. Part 3, Blood alcohol concentration and the problem with guessing. Blood alcohol concentration, often called BAC, is a measure of alcohol in the bloodstream. Many people try to guess their BAC based on how many drinks they had, how long they waited, how much they ate, or how they feel. The problem is that guessing is unreliable. BAC can be affected by the amount of alcohol consumed, the time period of drinking, body size, sex-related biological differences, food intake, medications, health conditions, and how quickly the body processes alcohol. Drink strength matters too. One mixed drink may contain more than one standard drink. A tall beer, high alcohol beer, large pour of wine, or strong mixed drink can make a person miscount. Another problem is tolerance. Tolerance means a person may feel less affected by alcohol than they used to, but tolerance does not mean the brain and body are safe for driving. A person with tolerance may look or feel more functional while still having slowed reaction time and impaired judgment. Time matters, but time is often misunderstood. Waiting a little while does not guarantee safe driving. Drinking water, eating food, showering, drinking coffee, or getting fresh air may change how a person feels, but they do not instantly remove alcohol from the body. This is why a prevention plan is more reliable than trying to calculate in the moment. If there is any chance you will drink, use a ride plan before the first drink. If you use cannabis, prescription medication that affects alertness, or other drugs, use the same principle. Decide before impairment, not during impairment. Part 4. Drugs and driving. Now let's talk about drugs and driving. Drug-impaired driving includes illegal drugs, cannabis, misused prescription medications, some prescribed medications taken as directed, and over-the-counter medications that cause side effects such as drowsiness, blurred vision, dizziness, slowed reaction time, or poor coordination. A common mistake is thinking DUI only means alcohol. DUI can involve alcohol, drugs, or a combination of substances. It can involve a substance that is illegal to possess. It can involve medication that was prescribed to you. The key issue is impairment and safety behind the wheel. Cannabis can slow reaction time, affect decision making, impair coordination, and distort perception. A person may feel relaxed or focused, but driving requires fast decision, accurate distance judgment, lane control, and full attention. Sedatives, sleep medications, anti-anxiety medications, some pain medications, muscle relaxers, and some allergy or cold medications can create drowsiness or slowed responses. Some people do not expect an over-the-counter medicine to affect driving, but labels often warn against driving or operating machinery for a reason. Opioids can cause sleepiness, slowed breathing, slowed reaction time, dizziness, and poor attention. Stimulants such as cocaine or methamphetamine may create a different pattern. Instead of making a person sleepy, they may increase risk-taking, aggression, overconfidence, speeding, or impulsive decisions. A driver can be impaired by being too slowed or too sped up. Prescription medications deserve special attention. Taking a medication legally does not automatically mean it's safe to drive. The safest approach is to read warning labels, ask a doctor or pharmacist, pay attention to how the medication affects you, and avoid driving when starting a new medication. Changing dosages, mixing medications, or combining medication with alcohol. We're at a pause point. Pause the video and complete worksheet section 3, Substances and Possible Driving Effects. You do not need to list private medical details. Focus on categories and safety effects. Part 5. Mixed substances and amplified risk. One of the highest risk situations is mixing substances. Alcohol plus cannabis, alcohol plus medication, medication plus medication, or drugs combined with fatigue can produce stronger impairment than a person expects. Mixing substances can make impairment unpredictable. A person may think, I only drink a little, or I only took a little of my medication, or I only used a small amount. But substances can interact. The combined effect may be more dangerous than either substance alone. This is especially important with alcohol and medications. Alcohol can increase drowsiness, dizziness, poor coordination, and slowed reaction time, caused by many medications, even if someone has taken a medication safely before. Adding alcohol can change the effect. Mixed impairment also affects decision making. A person who is tired and has been drinking may be more likely to say, I just want to get home. A person who uses cannabis and alcohol may feel relaxed and underestimate the difficulty of driving. A person who uses stimulants may feel alert but drive aggressively or take unnecessary chances. The prevention rule is simple. If substances are involved, do not drive. If you are mixing substances, the answer is definitely do not drive. Arrange a ride. Stay where you are, call someone, use a ride share, or wait until you are fully safe and sober. Part 6. Reaction time, why seconds matter. Reaction time is one of the most important driving skills affected by impairment. Reaction time is the amount of time it takes to respond to something. but in driving, reaction time has several steps. First, you have to notice the hazard. Second, you have to understand what it means. Third, you have to decide what to do. Fourth, you have to move your body. Fifth, the vehicle has to respond. Alcohol and drugs can slow the process at the beginning, the middle, and the end. Imagine you are driving and a car in front of you suddenly brakes. A sober, alert driver still needs time to notice, decide, and brake. An impaired driver may take longer to notice the brake lights, longer to understand the danger, and longer to press the brakes. At higher speeds, even a small delay means the vehicle travels much farther before stopping. This is why people can say it happens so fast. The truth is, emergencies do happen fast. Safe driving requires being prepared before they happen. Impairment takes away some of that preparation. Reaction time also matters for pedestrians, animals, motorcycles, bicycles, construction zones, turns, yellow lights, lane changes, and sudden weather changes. You cannot predict every hazard. You can only choose whether your brain and body will be ready to respond. We're at a pause point. Pause the video and complete worksheet section 4. Seconds matter. Write about one situation where a delay of 1 or 2 seconds could change the outcome while driving. Part 7. Motor coordination and vehicle control. Motor coordination means the body can perform smooth, accurate movements in driving. Motor coordination includes steering, braking, accelerating, turning, checking mirrors, parking, maintaining speed, staying in the lane, and responding without overcorrecting. Alcohol and drugs can affect coordination in the visible and invisible ways. Visible signs might include swerving, drifting, hard braking, slow starts at lights, wide turns, or hitting curbs. Invisible signs might include subtle overcorrection, delayed steering, weaker scanning, or difficulty doing two things at once. Driving requires divided attention. You may have to check a mirror while controlling speed, or brake while steering, or watch a pedestrian while noticing a traffic light. Impairment makes divided attention harder. A person may focus on one thing and miss another. This is why impaired driving is especially dangerous in busy environments. City traffic, neighborhoods, school zones, parking lots, highways, rainy roads, nighttime driving, or unfamiliar areas. The more complicated the environment, the more the driver needs full coordination and attention. A safe driver does not just ask, "Can I physically make the car move?" A safe driver asks, "Can I respond correctly if something unexpected happens?" Part 8. Judgment, confidence, and risk-taking. One of the most dangerous effects of impairment is impaired judgment. Judgment is the ability to evaluate risk and choose the safest response. Alcohol and drugs can change judgment before they visibly change speech, walking, or coordination. Impaired judgment may sound like this: "I am not that bad. I only live a few minutes away. I drive this road all the time. I am better than most people. I do not want to leave my car. I cannot afford a rideshare. I do not want anyone to know. I will just drive slow. I need to get home." Some of those statements may feel logical in the moment, but they leave out the biggest issue. Other people on the road did not agree to take that risk. Passengers, children, families, workers, cyclists, pedestrians, and other drivers are all affected by one person's decision to drive impaired. Impairment can also create overconfidence. A person may feel relaxed, brave, or in control. They may talk themselves into driving because they do not feel afraid. But fear is not the measure of safety. Reaction time, attention, perception, and coordination are what matter. This is where accountability becomes practical. Accountability is not just saying, "I made a mistake." Accountability means identifying the thinking pattern that made the mistake possible and building a plan that interrupts it next time. We're at a pause point. Pause the video and complete worksheet section 5. Impaired judgment statements. Circle or write down any thoughts you've had before driving or riding with someone who may have had or may have been impaired. Then write a safer replacement thought. Part 9. Fatigue is an impairment multiplier. Fatigue is another major risk factor. Fatigue can slow reaction time, reduce attention, affect mood, and make it harder to make safe decisions. When fatigue is combined with alcohol or drugs, the risk increases. Many DUI situations happen at night, after work, after stress, after social events, or after a long day. A person may already be tired before alcohol or drugs are added. Fatigue makes the brain less able to compensate. Fatigue also changes motivation. A tired person often wants the fastest solution. They may think, I just want to get home. That sentence can be dangerous when it overrides safety planning. Being tired can also make a person less likely to problem solve. Instead of calling someone, waiting, staying over, or getting a ride, the person may choose the option that feels easiest in the moment. This is why the safest plan must be made ahead of time. If you know you will be out late, working long hours, driving a long distance, taking medication, drinking, or using any substance, plan transportation before you are tired. Tired plus impaired is not a small risk. It is a risk multiplier. Part 10. Medication and warning labels. Another risk factor is medication. Medication can be prescribed by a doctor, purchased over the counter, borrowed from someone else, or used in a way not directed. Any of these can affect driving. Some medications warn about drowsiness, dizziness, blurred vision, nausea, slowed reaction time, or not operating machinery. Driving is operating machinery. A car is heavy, fast, and dangerous when the driver is not fully alert. There are several medication situations where extra caution is needed. Starting a new medication, increasing a dose, taking medication at a different time than usual, mixing medication with alcohol, mixing multiple medications, taking medication when sleep deprived, or taking more than directed. A responsible driver does not guess with medication. A responsible driver reads the label, talks to a doctor or pharmacist, and pays attention to the side effects. If there is uncertainty, do not drive until you know it is safe. We're at a pause point. Pause the video and complete worksheet section 6. Medication and fatigue safety check. Again, you do not need to disclose private medical information. You are building a safety habit. Part 11. Personal experience reflection. Now we're going to connect the education to personal experience. This is where the session becomes more than information. Information only helps if it changes future choices. Think about your own history. This could include the DUI incident, a close call, a time you rode with someone impaired, a time you told yourself you were okay to drive, or a time you made a safer choice and did not drive. Ask yourself, what did I believe in the moment? What did I ignore? What risk factors were present? Was I tired? Had I eaten? Was I stressed? Was I using more than one substance? Did I have a transportation plan? Did I feel pressure from others? Did I care more about convenience than safety? The goal is not to beat yourself up. The goal is to identify the chain. DUI prevention happens when you learn the chain early enough to break it. Pause the video and complete worksheet section 7. My impaired driving chain. Write the situation, the thoughts, the feelings, the risk factors, the decision point, and what could have been done differently. Part 12. Building the safe alternative. After identifying the chain, the next step is building the safe alternative. A safe alternative is not a vague promise, like, I will be more careful. A safe alternative is specific. It tells you what you will do before, during, and after a risky situation. Before a risky situation, decide whether you are driving, if you plan to drink or use any impairing substances. Decide that you are not driving. Arrange transportation ahead of time. Bring money for a ride. Ask a sober person in advance. Know where you can stay. Leave your vehicle at home if that helps. During the situation, do not renegotiate the plan while impaired. If you already decided not to drive, the decision is final. Do not let embarrassment, cost, impatience, or pressure change the plan. After the situation, review what worked. Did you avoid driving? Did you use a ride? Did you leave your keys somewhere safe? Did you tell someone your plan? Success should be noticed because repeated safe choices become habits. A good plan also includes refusal statements. For example, I am not driving after drinking. I already have a ride. I am leaving my car here. I would rather pay for a ride than pay for another DUI. I am not risking someone's life to avoid inconvenience. We're at a pause point. Pause the video and complete worksheet section 8, my safe alternative plan. Make it realistic. Use real names, real options, and real barriers. Part 13, responsibility without shame. Before we close, I want to talk about responsibility without shame. Shame says I am a bad person, so why try? Responsibility says I made a risky choice, I can make safer choices from here. Shame often keeps people stuck. It leads to hiding, minimizing, blaming, or avoiding the topic. Responsibility leads to learning, planning, honesty, and repair. If you are in this class because of a DUI, the most useful question is not, how do I make this disappear? The most useful question is, what needs to change so this does not happen again? Today you learned that impairment can affect judgment, reaction time, coordination, attention, perception, and decision making. You also learned that fatigue, medication, tolerance, mixed substances, stress, and convenience can increase risk. The goal is to move from luck to planning. Some people have driven impaired and nothing happened. That is not proof of safety. That is luck. A prevention plan does not depend on luck. It depends on decisions made before impairment. Closing summary and preview of Session 3. Let us summarize the key points from Session 2. First, feeling fine is not the same as driving safe. Second, alcohol and drugs can impair judgment, reaction time, coordination, perception, attention, and memory. Third, legal substances, prescription medications, over-the-counter medications, cannabis, alcohol, and illegal drugs can all be connected to impaired driving. Fourth, mixing substances can amplify impairment. Fifth, fatigue and stress can increase risk. Sixth, the safest DUI prevention plan is made before impairment begins. Session 3 will continue with accountability, processed by looking more closely at thinking errors, excuses, minimization, and decision points. We will look at the thoughts that can lead a person toward risky choices and the replacement thoughts that support safer behavior. Before ending, complete worksheet section 9, final reflection and commitment. Write one thing you learned, one risk factor you need to take seriously, and one specific commitment you are willing to make before the next session. Thank you for completing Session 2. Bring your completed worksheet to your next session or submit accordingly.